to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, everyone, for joining us. Sarah, please call the roll.
Mercedes Evans.
Here.
Thomas Fink.
Here.
Michelle Forbes.
Here.
Jennifer Hoover.
Here.
Tim Jackson.
Here.
Luisa Lasova. Emily Smith.
Here.
Estelle Ivelsberger.
Thank you. A quorum being present will proceed, which brings us to our first period of public comment. If there's anyone in the audience wishing to offer public comment during this first period, please come to the microphone, share your name and address, and please keep your comments to 3 minutes. Hearing none, seeing none. I did want to inquire on behalf of one emailed comment we received recently about ICE deportations occurring by plainclothes officers, I guess, and the concern that that's causing in our communities. So I just wondered if the chief or the mayor or council or solicitor could just share very briefly what role, if any, the borough or the police department would have in that matter.
Excuse me. We've had no involvement. We've not been requested in any fashion to assist or participate. We do know that ICE has been in Cumberland County and has taken some actions, but those have, to my knowledge, have been at Cumberland County Prison and at some of the district justices' offices where they have met people. They picked up people that they had detainers or warrants for, but we have not been contacted and don't have any plans to actively participate with those programs.
Chief, if you were contacted, would you be legally required to participate? What is the situation?
I don't know if we would, under certain circumstances, if it was a safety issue in terms of supporting or backing up another officer, whether it be a local or state or federal officer, those are the mutual aid agreements that we typically operate under. But in terms of participating in any planned investigation or roundup, I don't think that we would be expected to participate in that.
So if you would receive any kind of request, you would decline?
Probably for that type of, depending on the type of request for assistance, and whatever we would in any case do, we would be assisting and not initiating any of those types of enforcement activities.
Okay.
Thank you. Moving on to President's announcements, just to share that we met prior to this meeting in executive session to discuss a personnel issue involving a police officer. Which brings us to item 4A. Is there a motion to table the consideration of the disciplinary action of a police officer?
So moved.
Michelle moves. Second. Thank you. No second is required, but thank you, Mercedes. And the motion is not debatable. So all in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? The motion passes to table consideration. Next, Sarah, would you please share the manager's report?
Good evening. I enjoyed visiting with the Frederickson Library staff and municipal officials at their municipal officials breakfast on April 15th. Several of our esteemed council members also joined me. We learned about current events at the library and in our neighboring municipalities. And I've also been working with the library on their Keystone Grant application. You might recall we passed a resolution. The borough had to serve as the applicant for the grant. The library completed the application and they will provide all matching funds. They have been awarded a grant allocation totaling more than $305,000 to make capital improvements to the building. They are required to make a 50% match. So it's a big grant, it's a big project. So, but I've been working with them on that. Per our newly adopted special events ordinance, we have developed a new special event application and processing procedures. Residents who have held block parties or other events in previous years should plan a little farther ahead as more notice is required under the new ordinance. The additional review time will allow us to circulate the application among all staff leadership to ensure that preparations are in place for a safe and successful event. Fees for the new permit have not been set yet, so we're currently not charging any fees for a special event permit. And lastly, next week is the APMM Conference, Association of Pennsylvania Municipal Managers. I'm the chair, in case you haven't heard. I'm chairing the Managers Conference next week in Lancaster. Our theme is Find Your Spark, and we hope that attendees will be energized through inspiring and educational presentations by leaders in government and private consultants. The conference has the most sponsors and the most registered attendees they have ever had. Just saying.
Because you're chairing.
Thank you. I kind of felt that way too. Thank you.
Thank you, Sarah. Moving on to the mayor's report.
Thank you. Unfortunately, the stats for the police department aren't in the packet, so we'll catch up on those next week, or next month. They're not, well, yeah, they're not here. One item of special interest which you have, we continue to have all those dropped off somewhat, still having thefts from unlocked vehicles. We've had a couple of vehicles, actually two stolen. Typically, the vehicles are unlocked and the keys are in the vehicles. So again, I'd like to reiterate that make sure your vehicles are locked and there's no valuables in them. Also, you can see the list of training that our officers have been taking here in the month of April. And Michelle, the office admin, the police department admin, has also attended a couple of trainings. Fire department, 33 calls for the month of April. We spent 61 hours on those calls. We had our first chicken barbecue last week, thanks to everybody that came out and supported us. The next one is the 14th of June. I had 2 weeks ago on Saturday, 2 weeks ago, I had the honor of, I got asked to be the MC for the Special Olympics event at Siebert Park, and it was such a wonderful event, and I know that the organizers would love to be back at Siebert Park next year, so I would fully endorse that, and I would encourage anybody to come out to that. It's really a really neat event. So that is the report. Oh wait, one more thing. Sorry. Fire department. We've been fortunate enough to pick up some. We have 4 junior firefighters, which are high school kids. You can be 14. You can start at 14 years old. Fortunately, we have one of them here this evening. A former junior council member, Josiah Garber, is here in the audience, and they're super young men. They're really showing an interest in what we do. They've been coming to trainings and going on calls, and I believe Josiah seems to enjoy what he's learning. So, Josiah, thank you. That's my report.
Thank you. He's also preparing for future public service. Moving on then to our engineer's report. Mike?
Thank you. Several items to report this month on drainage projects. First of all, we have submitted the Commonwealth Financing Authority Small Water and Sewer Grant for improvements to the drainage system in the area of Harvard Avenue, just west of Deanhurst. We would propose adding a second culvert there to improve the capacity. So that grant has been submitted. We received a few questions from the agency, which isn't unusual with CFA, and have responded and given them the information they're looking for. We expect that award to be announced in early 2026. On transportation projects, we did open bids for the 2025 curb ramp improvements project and got a pretty good result. We had a total of 8 bidders, many of whom are pretty well known to us, a few who are not, including the low bidder. However, the low bidder did submit all of the paperwork required to constitute a proper bid, and their bid is less than the amount that we got from the grant agency, even if we include all of the bid alternates. So we're not asking for action on that tonight, but will be next month. We'll be asking for award of that bid plus all of the alternates. And then lastly, also under the heading of transportation, I'm pleased to announce that the Market Street Streetscape project is officially complete. We've reached the final completion status. And the one action that we have requested tonight is to approve the final payment application, which is number 9, in the amount of $19,950, which is really just the punch list items and some retainage, and then closing out the contract with York Excavating. That's all I have for this evening.
Thank you, Mike. I just want to reiterate, we know this on council, but for the benefit of the public, the streetscape project is much more than a beautification project, right? So it included many safety improvements from crosswalks to lighting to signage, et cetera. So it's benefits our community in multiple ways beyond just, improving sidewalks and curbs, et cetera. So, yeah. Moving on to our consent agenda. Is there a motion and a second to approve the consent agenda as presented?
So moved. Second.
Emily moves, Michelle seconds. No discussion, I guess. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion to adopt the consent agenda as presented passes unanimously. That brings us to our reports of committees and liaisons, beginning with public safety. Tim?
Thank you very much. Just in terms of old business, the committee met on April 24th. We covered the next steps for the Country Club Hills area where HRG provided a report. The committee will take a look and review that report at our next committee meeting. It is quite lengthy, but informs us on anything that we'd be looking for council to recommend. Additionally, I believe also up for consideration this evening are drafts for the stop signs that HRG just covered as well around the elementary school. Also in terms of new business, and there are 3 items here that we'll take up for consideration this evening. The first is the consideration of hiring procedures for police candidates without Act 120 certification. Second being consideration of the resolution amending the civil service rules. And lastly, the consideration of hiring police cadets contingent upon the satisfactory completion of background checks. And so all those will be later on in the agenda. And then lastly, there was a brief discussion in committee about meeting with Lemoyne and Wormleysburg boroughs in terms of West Shore Police, Regional Police, and kind of what that model looks like. There has not been a meeting scheduled to date, and that is my report.
Thank you, Tim. I was just curious if the chief could give us some background, because I'm not familiar and it wasn't captured in the minutes. What's the history of that conversation about regionalizing?
Excuse me. I think the conversation first started out, it was not a meeting that I was in attendance at, but Tim was there. And it was a discussion about mutual aid, which we do have agreements amongst the various departments, police departments in the county already for mutual aid. And I think the assumption is that perhaps some of the folks from either Lemoyne or Wormleysburg would like to talk to us about our possible interest. Tim can expand.
Yeah, and
on
just
that.
to be a little bit more direct, when Sarah mentioned there was the breakfast at Frederickson Library, so officials from the various boroughs did attend, where we had a brief conversation to then discuss about the potential of meeting for something else. And I think, quite honestly, there's some misunderstanding about mutual aid in and of itself. I'm not sure there's a real understanding from the other boroughs that there's something already in place, which is probably much of that conversation if it were ever to take place.
Okay. Moving on to Public Works, Louisa?
Okay, Public Works has one action item, which is the final payment to York Excavating to close out the Market Street streetscape project. Yay. And besides that, at the last Public Works meeting, which was on May 6th, and unfortunately, I was away last weekend for my son's college graduation, so I didn't get the minutes ready until today, so you will see them in next month's package. So just to summarize, we had a lengthy discussion again about the Lincoln and Logan potential pedestrian crossing, since that keeps coming up in public discussion. So this would be a really complicated project, but we are not losing sight of it. But meanwhile, we are focusing on the project at Brentwater, for which we have a grant pending. So if we manage to improve the pedestrian crossing at Brentwater, that would alleviate the situation for pedestrians a little bit, but it would still leave a large stretch of the bypass that cannot be safely crossed by pedestrians. So we will keep working on this issue. Another item of concern was cars turning illegally on red at Market and Chestnut Streets, crossing the bypass, those two big intersections. Most of the directions have no turn on red signs. There's few that where the signage could be a little bit confusing, so I think HRG will look into that. And also timing of traffic signals keeps coming up. So we discussed the intersection at Brentwater and the bypass, which would also be looked at if we get the funds to work on the Brentwater Street intersection. So that intersection, sometimes the light does not change to green for a long time for cars. And this can occur if the car is positioned in a way that doesn't trigger the magnetic detectors. So it's not really easy to solve. But we would address it if we get to work on the Brentwater Crossing project. Other than that, the survey of Seabird Park is almost complete, except for one parcel that needs to be figured out. The Braemar Culvert flood mitigation, I think I mentioned last time that unfortunately the FEMA funding has been cut from the budget, so that's no longer available. So we will be looking at other solutions. Okay, then we discussed the application of high PAH sealants. So PAH stands for polycyclic aromatic hydrocarbons, which are a health hazard and carcinogenic. So for road sealing, you can use coal-based tar, or you can use asphalt emulsion. And the coal-based tar releases a lot more PAHs than the asphalt emulsion. So we would like to move forward in encouraging contractors to phase out high PAH coal tar sealants. And for that, we will be preparing a resolution and possibly at a future point, an ordinance. Recently, there was a sewer line main break at Seabird Park, which was luckily discovered the same day. It is fixed, but the main force line force main line is old, and so it will need to be replaced at some point. So that is on our to-do list. And the unintended discharge was reported to DEP, and the affected areas were treated with limestone as required. Okay, the sewer lining project in Country Club Hills is in progress. The dumpsters for the compost disposal area, at the time of meeting, they were ready for pickup, so maybe we already have them. And also the Creek Road Pump Station project is in the works, and the microsurfacing projects continue. So we are working on a lot of different projects and making progress. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Louisa. Any questions? No. Public Works is always very, very busy. Very full agenda. Moving on to Community and Business Relations.
Okay, so Community and Business Relations met on Tuesday, April 15th. Members of the Historical Society attended to discuss having a mural to celebrate America's semi-quincentennial next year. We discussed how we can also increase awareness of Camp Hill's history. We are also continuing the goal to adopt a comprehensive plan for the borough by the end of 2026, and are continuing the work to become certified by Sustainable PA, our municipality would be. We are not meeting on this Tuesday, but we'll have our next meeting on June 17th at 4 p.m. That's it.
Thank you. Any questions for Michelle? No? Okay. Moving on to Parks and Recreation. Emily?
Thanks. It's a busy weekend in Camp Hill this upcoming weekend. I will hold my what's going on downtown until my next report. But the Kite Festival is on Sunday. I incorrectly said it was on Saturday last week when I was at a meeting, and that is incorrect. It's on Sunday. So the Kite Festival, which I believe is the 26th year this year, is from 1 to 4 p.m. at Fiala Field. Also to note, this summer is the 25th summer of Box Lunch Review. Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah, so it's all scheduled for 11:30 to 1 p.m. on Fridays. So June 13th is the first one, and Ryan and Tabin McCormick are going to be there playing music, and that is sponsored by HRG, thank you. And so just so you know, that's coming up. Also, the Memorial Day Parade and events is May 26th, starting at 9:30 a.m. Just a note to everyone, people in the parade who are giving out candy, this includes all of you up here on this dais, are handing candy to individuals and not throwing it, and no candy will be thrown out of any vehicles that are on the parade route. We've had some problems throughout the last couple parades where, you know, kids start running into the street to try to get the candy, and then they're in the way of the vehicles. It's a whole thing. So we are going to try to gently hand out candy to the masses of children looking for their candy. So come see how that goes. Also, Learn to Swim community lessons. Registration is open May 15th for pool members and May 16th for non-pool members. So that's for the first session, which is June 16th through June 26th. And you can go on our website to see that. Also, the pool opens on Memorial Day weekend, so that is May 24th, I believe is the first day it's open. You can get your pool passes online. I don't know if I have anything else to report on that. But come out to the Kite Festival. It's going to be very exciting. That's the first thing on our list. So we'll see you this weekend, and I'll tell you more about what's happening on Saturday in my next report.
Thank you, Emily. Any questions for her? Okay, moving on to, yep.
I do have a
go ahead.
question. The box lunch thing, is that just a social thing? Is that what's that all about?
Yeah, so it's at Willow Park. Have you never been, Tom? What? Okay, so in the gazebo, we have live music for lunchtime, and then everyone comes and brings their own chairs or blankets or whatever. Audrey and various helpers will be making hot dogs. Sometimes there's hot dogs, there's chips, but you can also bring your own lunch, which I've gone downtown before and picked up lunch and then brought it there. And everyone just chills and listens to music during lunch.
Be at the next one?
Yeah, it's a great thing in the summertime, like take Fridays less seriously, you know, go listen to
And
some
the
music.
Seabrook Park camp counselors bring over,
Yeah.
The
that's
children.
good
The
to
children.
know, too. The kids
Yes.
that go to camp come too. So it's
You'll be able to identify them by their
nice
t-shirts.
to,
okay. Moving on then to planning and zoning, Tom?
Yes, you'll note in your packet that Colton has provided a monthly report on code enforcement. He's responded to, in the past month, 146 calls and complaints, made 633 calls, sent 248 emails, pretty busy, did 163 residential unit inspections, which I'll talk about later, and issued 73 building, zoning, dumpster, stormwater, and shade tree permits. The Planning and Zoning Committee met April 25th. First thing we did was we looked at the first quarter review of the rental inspection ordinance, and it actually is going very well, better than some of us thought it might. He's ahead of schedule and is well on his way to complete approximately 35% of all rentals in 2025. So we're happy with how that's going. And we've not gotten major complaints, or it seems to be well received by the community. We then looked at, which we're going to recommend as an action item, a quitclaim deed abandonment proposal involving an area around the Teamsters building, South 31st Street, at a point on the southern right-of-way line of Mayfield Lane. It's a right-of-way that we don't use, that we don't anticipate using, and the Teamsters would like that access to that land to build a garage. So we're going to recommend tonight that this be approved to proceed. Third, we did a final look at the sump pump ordinance, which has been out for the past month to be looked at by council, and tonight we'll recommend that it be passed. And we haven't gotten any negative feedback about that to date. We're also recommending adoption of a sign ordinance for Deanhurst and Columbia Avenues that we had out for the past month for advertisement. Again, no comments on that, and so we're recommending that that be approved tonight. We're also looking at 3 additional sign ordinances that we're proposing be advertised at Deanhurst and Dickinson, and 2 T intersections at Athol and Dighton at 19th Streets. We then spent a lot of, I think, very productive time looking at the feedback we've gotten on the code review project. We're trying to update the code, get rid of codes that are redundant or unnecessary, and bring things up to 2025 and maybe beyond. An overview to our recommendations can be found in the minutes from last month's meeting. By way of a quick overview, we made recommendations to eliminate several ordinances that include an unenforced curfew ordinance, an unnecessary cable television ordinance, and a food handlers ordinance, as well as a dance hall ordinance that we really don't seem to need. We identified a smaller group of ordinances that are more complex that we're going to bump into the future to look at. And that includes a bicycle ordinance and a solicitation ordinance and an animal ordinance. So we'll have work to do on those in the future. But I think we're all pretty happy with the way the project has gone and we're clearly on schedule. Right. And finally, Colton reviewed progress being made in the repair and replacement of sidewalks that's being carried out in conjunction with current repaving projects. And he also worked a lot this past month on shade tree permits and other seasonal projects. So that is my report. The next meeting is scheduled for May 16, 8:15 a.m. Any questions, comments?
Just one comment. I just want to thank the committee for its continued work on the codification project. I know it's probably a monumental task with lots of review and lots of conversation, and no longer being a member of that committee, I'm not sure if I'm okay with that. But I know it was important to me as well as other committee members, not only to clean up and codify because it hadn't been done for a while, but one of the benefits or outcomes of that will also be able to provide a very user-friendly source of information on our website that you can, if you searched other municipalities' websites, they're using that as well, but, a much easier way to search and find our ordinances. I think that would be a great asset to everyone. Yeah, okay, thank you.
I did have a question. Just because I hadn't heard any of the talk behind the 2 stop signs, is there?
They're T intersections.
Yeah, but it's going on to, so we just haven't had stop signs there before?
No, it's just, you take your chances.
Yeah,
Okay.
hope for the best at the T intersection. Yeah,
Because I know,
I feel like
just,
We've
I feel
done
like
other ones.
over the course of the last couple of years, I feel like that has been one of the things that has been going on, is that we are identifying T intersections that do not have stop signs that really could benefit from that.
right, that need them.
Yeah.
Okay, just because I have this thing against, like, stop sign, stop sign, stop sign.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a safety issue because it came initially before public safety around elementary school where there was some
That
concern.
one I knew, right,
Yeah.
that one I
Okay.
understood.
Yeah.
But it was the other 2 that I just hadn't heard about and just wasn't sure why. So,
Yeah, go drive up and see how it goes.
Yeah, I drive around there. A stepdaughter lives back there, and, yeah, it's a little crazy
yeah,
knowing who has the right of way and who
I
doesn't.
didn't realize, so there just was never a stop sign there.
Yeah, you just,
Yeah, that's crazy. Yeah. Okay, sorry. Thanks.
Thank you. Okay, moving on to administration and finance. Mercedes.
Good evening. Our committee met on April 28th, and we discussed a couple things. One of them is a potential RFP for new IT vendors. Our current service is subpar, so we're looking into that. I have 3 action items. One is to consider a resolution to adopt a schedule of attorney's fees for municipal claims, and this essentially has to do with 2 property owners who did not respond to the streetscape billing. So that's what that's about. The other one is consider appointment of Melody Zimmerman to the Human Relations Committee. Thank you so much for volunteering to fill that position. And the next one is our annual inter-fund transfer, so funds get moved from the general fund into their corresponding funds. We will not be having a meeting this month, so our next meeting will be June 23rd. Any questions? No, thank you.
Thank you, Mercedes. Moving on then to our reports from liaisons, beginning with Tim on behalf of the Borough School District.
Yeah, so there's actually most of the topics that I covered for public safety were also covered through this joint borough school district committee because Superintendent Surface was able to join the public safety committee as he sometimes does. And so typically a lot of the conversation carries from one committee to the next to move things along. So our next meeting is Wednesday, September 24th in the District Administration Office at 6 p.m. Thanks.
Thank you. Estelle, would you please provide the junior council member report?
Last month, April 9th, everybody in my grade was inducted into the National Honor Society, so that's why I wasn't at the meeting. AP testing has been all last week and this week, and so it's wrapping up. Everybody's pretty excited about it. Keystone testing is this week and next week, and because of that, we've had 2-hour delays all week. And then this week is the last full week for seniors before they have 3 days, and then they go into their finals. Track just ended, and a handful of people went to mid-pens. We had 2 throwers and around 10 runners. And then softball and baseball are still in their season. I'm pretty sure softball had their last game today. I'm not sure if they won or lost, but if they won, they would go into postseason. And then prom was on May 3rd, along with the SAT, so really fun for everybody. And then leadership for Mini-thon came out for next year. And then the AP US History and AP Government classes are going to Philadelphia tomorrow for their field trip all day. And they get to do like a mock trial with 2 federal judges, which is really cool. And then there's also a shoe drive for the field hockey team coming up, and it goes until May 25th, and they're shooting for, I think, 2,500 shoes to raise money for a field hockey clinic for the team. So yeah.
Thank you, and congratulations.
Individual shoes or pairs of shoes?
Hopefully not theirs.
Okay, moving on to the Stormwater Authority report. Louisa?
A very brief report because we didn't meet this month.
Great, thank you. Moving on then to the Sustainability Committee.
Yes, the committee met May 8th. We're continuing to look at ways to measure the effectiveness of the various interventions around the reduction of use of fossil fuels, and Sarah was able to get her hands on some data from PPL showing usage in the broad Camp Hill area, which includes the borough and several other adjoining areas. But it did show results consistent with a reduction of the use of electricity. And we don't know what the results of that is from, but we hope it's from reduction of using fossil fuels. But Sarah's also going to work on getting UGI data to look at, and we'll be able to talk about more of that in the future. Sarah was also able to confirm, again, that we do have the more money available for us. And that money is going to be used to put in solar in this building. And I think we're in the process now of trying to get some estimates from people, RFPs and so on. So we'll have, again, more to say about that in the future. Sarah was able to report on our participation in the Sustainable PA program that's being run out of the University of Pittsburgh. This program rates communities on a variety of sustainability and quality of life measures that include land use, housing, public health and safety, and energy usage. We've applied to get a rating and are now waiting for feedback from them. Coming in, I hope, fairly soon. And we'll see where we stand. And what's good about this program is it sets goals for us that are clarified. The committee continues to work and plan for Stormfest, July 23rd, where we will have a table and some engaging displays, I hope, and maybe a raffle if we can come up with the money to offer perhaps an electric mower or maybe an electric blower that wouldn't be quite as expensive. That's talked about as well, but there was some concern about that. So it's not decided what we're going to offer. That a lot of people won't use them. What do you remember? Right. So it's not decided in my memory what we're going to raffle, right?
Right.
Okay. But you're right, hand mowers is on the list. And then with regard to public education and public engagement, we certainly want to announce that there's a shredding day that's been scheduled for June 24th, Tuesday, June 24th, 2 to 4 in the afternoon at the same area that was held last year, close to the farmers market. It was very well attended last time, and the market liked it because they had more people showing up. A garden tour coming up fairly soon, sponsored by the Bee City Committee, is occurring on June 1st, 1 to 4 p.m. They're going to meet, people will meet, and the garden is right outside of Prosser Hall. And the tour will involve 11 homes. And finally, just to go back to Stormfest, that's July 23rd, 5:30 to 8 p.m. And that's my report.
Thank you, Tom. Emily with the Downtown Camp Hill Association report.
Okay, back to this weekend. So on Saturday, the Downtown Camp Hill Association is hosting the plein air art walk from 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. Some interesting things for this year. There are, I think this is the second or third year that they've had these two scholarships that are being offered, but $1,000 is going to be presented to Mr. Gallagher for Canadensis, and then $1,000 is going to a Camp Hill High School art student, which perhaps was actually awarded today at their awards ceremony. A new addition this year is the Goddard Trail Walk led by Thrive Fit. So this is going to start like 19th Street-ish? Yeah. It's going to start 19th Street-ish and go the entirety of the Goddard Trail and end at Willow Park, which is where all of the festivities are happening for the plein air art walk. So that is first thing in the morning, I believe, at 10 a.m. Mrs. Eric Court, the elementary school art teacher, will be teaching 3 plein air art sessions for children in Willow Park on Saturday. Other highlights, Bee City, Birdtown, the Human Relations Commission will all be there. As well, there will be live music, free cotton candy, face painting, and glitter tattoos. Friendship bracelet making, plein air coloring sheets, a flower bouquet making at the Downtown Camp Hill Association booth. So there's lots going on. The quick draw contest this year has 32 artists participating, with awards being presented for the quick draw at 1 p.m. So do not miss that on Saturday, and then the Kite Festival on Sunday. And I forgot to mention that Sarah's Creamery will be at the Kite Festival as well. That's it.
And there will be a roaming violinist at the plein air. Yeah.
I said live music.
I know, but I just
There's
wanted-
more than one.
Yeah.
There's
I'm
more
a
than one
violinist.
live music.
That's our sophisticated.
Oh, and I also forgot to mention, there will be a mini farmer's market on Saturday. So there's going to be 6 vendors there on Saturday for the mini farmer's market. The farmer's market was supposed to open yesterday.
It did.
Did? I didn't
It was
go.
just
It was
pushed
kind of,
over.
it was kind of wet out, so I was, but hopefully the weather's better on Saturday.
Thank you. Michelle, would you offer the reports on behalf of the Library Board, CapCog, and Birdtown, please?
I will. Okay, Frederickson is first. Frederickson's summer reading program begins on June 1st. The reading challenge will have weekly raffles in addition to their grand prizes, which are pretty cool grand prizes. They have partnered with Go Cumberland Challenge to track your visits at the local parks and trails. And the summer concert series kicks off on June 5th with the Maxwell Project. It's like horns and vocals and some rhythm and blues and Earth, Wind, and Fire, so that should be pretty cool. That's everything that I have. Oh, wait, that was everything for Frederickson. Yeah, CapCog didn't meet, and Emily, I think you said a lot of what we're doing with Birdtown. We have so much going on with Birdtown, but we'll have a table with a lovely runner, so you'll be able to identify us, and some fun activities planned. And we will be in the parking lot with the mini market and Birdtown and the Human Relations Committee. So come out and see us. Saturday between 10 and 3 for plein air.
The Kite Festival's on Sunday.
Yeah, Kite Festival. Just everybody come to Market Street and Willow Park on Saturday, and then Sunday we go to Fiala. But up behind the church, right?
Yes,
Not like down
it's up on the soccer
Yeah.
fields.
behind the behind the church. Sunday, come there.
Behind,
Yeah, like up
behind
with the
Chum,
soccer.
yeah.
You'll find it's because of the kites.
Yeah.
And the cars. And the cars.
Alrighty. Thank you, everyone, for your reports. That brings us to our second round of public comment. Is there anyone wishing to offer public comment? Okay, seeing none, we'll move on. That brings us to our list of action items for the evening. First of which is the approval of a policy for hiring police cadets with the Act 120 certifications. Is there a motion and a second? Tim moves, Mercedes seconds. Is there any discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. The motion passes unanimously. Next, is there a motion and a second to approve resolution number 2025-07 to amend the civil service rules to eliminate the requirement that candidates have Act 120 certification prior to hiring? Tim moves, Louisa seconds. Is there any discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Thank you. The motion passes unanimously. Okay, now bear with me for the next one a little bit. So we're going to consider the appointment of 4 police cadets. So beginning with cadet number 1, is there a motion and a second to appoint police cadet Thomas Fitzpatrick contingent upon the satisfactory completion of background checks and psychological and medical exams?
Second.
Tim moves, Michelle seconds. Is there any discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Thank you. The motion passes unanimously. Next, is there a motion and a second to appoint police cadet Tyler Boyer contingent upon the satisfactory completion of background checks and psychological and medical exams?
Second.
Tim moves, Michelle seconds. Is there any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
The motion passes unanimously. Next, is there a motion and a second to appoint police cadet Atley Walter contingent upon the satisfactory completion of background checks and psychological and medical exams?
So moved. Second.
Michelle moves, Mercedes seconds. Is there any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion passes unanimously. Last, is there a motion and a second to appoint police cadet Justin Kim contingent upon the satisfactory completion of background checks and psychological and medical exams? Tim moves, Michelle seconds. Is there any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion passes unanimously. Oh, and also I just wanted to say, I know we had the conversation about Act 120 a prior month or two ago, and I had asked some questions, and I just appreciate going back to the table and putting, more explanation to help me answer my questions. So I appreciate that and having it being brought back to us for consideration. Next, item 11D. Is there a motion and a second to approve a final payment in the amount of $19,950 to York Excavating Company, LLC, to close out the Market Street Streetscape project?
Second.
Louisa moves, Emily eagerly seconds. Is there any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion passes unanimously. Next, is there a motion and a second to authorize the execution of a quitclaim deed for the abandonment of South 31st Street at a point on the southern right-of-way line of Mayfred Lane? Tom moves, Mercedes seconds. Is there any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion passes unanimously. Item 11F, is there a motion and a second to adopt ordinance number 2025-02, requiring the inspection of sump pumps at the time of property sale?
Second.
Tom moves, Louisa seconds.
It's fine.
Is there any discussion? All those in favor say aye. Any opposed? The motion passes unanimously. Also, I wish to thank Tom and the committee because I know that had been brought up by staff a while ago. So thank you for continuing to work on that. Next, item 11G, adopt ordinance number 2025-03 to install a stop sign at the intersection of Columbia Avenue at Deanhurst Avenue. Is there a motion and a second? Tom moves, Mercedes seconds. Is there any discussion? All those in favor say aye. Any opposed? The motion passes unanimously. Next, is there a motion and a second to approve the advertisement of an ordinance to install stop signs at 3 intersections that was noted on the, at Deanhurst Avenue, Athol Street, and Dighton Street. Oh, is that the next one? Okay, I won't complicate things then. Is there a motion? Tom moves, Emily seconds. Is there any discussion? All those in favor say aye. Any opposed? The motion passes unanimously. Next, is there a motion and a second to approve resolution number 2025-08, adopting a schedule of attorney's fees for municipal claims? Mercedes moves, Emily seconds. Is there any discussion? All those in favor say aye. Any opposed? The motion passes unanimously. Next, is there a motion and a second to appoint Melody Zimmerman to the Human Relations Commission to fill a term expiring December 31st, 2026? Mercedes moves, Emily seconds. Is there any discussion? All those in favor say aye. Any opposed? The motion passes unanimously. Lastly, is there a motion to approve the transfers of $1,150,000 from the general fund to the capital improvement fund and $100,000 from the general fund to the stormwater fund? Mercedes moves, Emily seconds. Is there any discussion? All those in favor say aye. Any opposed? The motion passes unanimously. Thank you, everyone. That brings us to our last round of public comment. Is there anyone wishing to address council this evening? No? Okay. Are there any closing remarks by council?
I have a few remarks that didn't fit into any committees. The Chesapeake Bay Foundation approached all of us if we want to take part in a 2-day retreat, and I went. May 1st and 2nd, I attended Wandering Waterways. It was a really fun and interesting retreat. They put us on a bus and took us to different sites where we could see, a farm and a park and a new housing project, and we learned about how that all affects stormwater and the Chesapeake Bay, and so it was very interesting. And if they ever come around again, I really recommend it. And other than that, for those of you that don't have anything to do this Saturday yet, at 9:30 a.m., there will be a walking tour of the new Blackberry Run Trail led by Marilyn Chastek of the Friends of the Conor de Gwinnett Greenway. We will meet at the Seabird Park parking lot, at the pool parking lot in Seabird Park, Saturday, 9:30 a.m. Also on Saturday afternoon, 4 to 7, is the Mayfair at Eisenhower. Mayfair at Eisenhower, 4 to 7. And we are doing, as every year, we are doing a bike rodeo there. We meaning Bike Camp Hill. Also, another plug in my function as Bike Camp Hill co-chair. On May the 21st, which is a Wednesday, there will be the Rite of Silence. We meet at 6:30 p.m. Here at the municipal parking lot. The Rite of Silence commemorates every year the cyclists that were killed in traffic. So I don't know what the number is this year. Usually it's between 15 and 20 every year in Pennsylvania. And so we ride in silence down to Harrisburg to remember them. And lastly, at the above-mentioned June 1st garden tour, if you want to come and see my garden, which is entered under the category of messy gardening. And you are also welcome to see my push mower and have a try with it.
Everybody just does a little bit.
Are there any other remarks? Just one final remark I'd like to share. May 20th, please make your plan to vote, right? It is primary election day, and I want to thank all candidates, both running for Borough Council and School Board, and especially 4 of which are here tonight, 1 of which is Michelle, who is running for re-election, and 3 of whom are sitting in the audience. So thank you for your time and attention.
You're welcome.
Okay. With that, the meeting stands adjourned, being there no further business, all right?